but we are not sure at this moment which systems work best for us. So the refund system may be one of the systems in there, but there might be also some other ideas.
Yeah, you are playing with agile design and everything to try to get the best feeling for the game.
Right. I mean, it's basically, as soon as all the basics are in place, we can actually start to play the game. And as soon as the multiplayer is in place, we can really dig into all the, balancing and
Yeah.
progression systems. So, I mean, in general, anti-snowballing makes total sense. Some sort of escalation makes total sense, but there might be options to unify that or to make it simpler.
Okay, following with talk about multiplayer, what is the situation with map? You were saying that for example, I am a multiplayer level designer, basically, or a game designer. So I have like huge experience regarding, for example, making wide map pools, and I know, for example, all of the meta game development, how all of that interacts with maps, and how all of that interacts over time. So, what is the situation regarding map? It is, for example, are you feeling try to not not give the player base too many maps because of a pipeline issue regarding, for example, the production of them because they're expensive to produce, especially for a small development team. So, how do you feel about this in a general situation?
Well, I think it's not really about. Well, I think it's about impact basically. When you release the game with, let's say, 15 maps,
Hmm.
then you have a certain impact. When you release the game with just 10 maps and release 5 maps after that, as free DLC and with one map every 2 weeks or something like that, or once a month or something like that, you have far more impact. I feel because then it's more like an event, and people are
Ah,
exciting.
I
Okay,
see.
now there is this new 2 versus 2 multiplayer map. Let's check it out. And people are talking about it because it's something special and not map 13 from 15. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. It gives the population a thing to cherish after the launch of the game.
Right, and it's also something that everybody is talking about this one map or is playing this one map because it's the map of the week, so to speak,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's more like a community feeling and it's more like an event, and so our idea is basically to start with, let's say, as few maps as possible. It shouldn't feel like, okay, this is just too few maps. It should feel like
Enough to make
a
it
good
work.
amount of maps enough, but we don't want to over
To
saturate the players from the beginning,
Yeah,
from the
because
start.
also increases the learning curve and everything. So
Absolutely.
yeah, regarding this, there will be
Yeah, sure.
you're sure that there will be replays, and in the same vein, for example, for observators or for community people that want to make videos, do you plan to give these people a free floating camera?
So yeah, replay is will be there. That's a given. The camera, yeah, could be. I mean, basically, the replay is there because of the multiplayer system we're using. We're basically using a lockstep system that's the classic approach basically
Yeah,
to multiplayer programming. And if you're doing that, you already have everything you need to play a replay. Cameras are usually not part of the replay, so uh, obviously you can control the camera any way you want um, while watching the replay, and there is probably not a good reason to limit the camera to the original in-game camera. So maybe we just enable a free camera as well.
I see. Don't,
I haven't thought about that yet,
yeah,
but if
don't you
that's
have
something.
concerns regarding, for example, the free floating camera? One thing that I have experienced as a level designer is that when you allow the player base to play with free floating cameras, you also increase the amount of work that is necessary, for example, in campaigns or in the same dressing of multiplayer map because
Yeah,
because you need to increase the amount of work, the workload. You need to dress the map from
yeah, that's
different
true.
angles and whatnot.
That's true, but I think the big question is, is it worth more to have a free camera because people like the free camera and they want to
Yeah,
go closer or whatever,
and
and then
enjoy your
you
slower
have
paced
to
gameplay.
accept that the background maybe isn't all that great or something like that. Maybe that's okay.
I see.
Well, Daisy, you also have to give other people a chance to say something because you are really rambling on.
Yeah, that should be hard.
Uh, he, I just want to make it short. He touched at the very last point what I talked about earlier about camera. What I like, I back this game for not for the multiplayer, but I know it's important part. I love the world design, the art design, and that mix of that steampunk mix with that. And as he said, camera. I also hope that you guys have some kind of camera which allows. I gave you in the private message a link from a game, War of Rights, which offers a so-called cinematic roaming view. You can go over the battlefield. It's a Civil War,
Yeah,
but similar like this.
yeah.
And camera view where you can also indulge into the world. I just hope this game not declines only into a fire exchange game like an exotic Red Alert with weird exotic units, but that you also have a chance to really enjoy the world itself, that mix of steampunk and classic.
Oh, for
Yeah,
sure.
as I said, from a technology standpoint, it's easy to implement free cameras. It's more like, okay, how much, is it okay to not, um, do all the backgrounds and all the stuff you wouldn't need for an in-game camera?
True.
Is that okay for people, or is it, that as soon as people can see, behind the curtain, they say, "Oh, this sucks because,
I
I
know
can see
there's a lot of limits.
the mountain in the background doesn't work." But at the moment, we actually implemented this. I forgot the name, but the NVIDIA screenshot thingy. I don't know what it's called. It's like you can basically
Shadow
pause the
play.
game and no, it's not shadow play. It's you can basically pause the game and fly around with the camera and rotate the camera any way you want and do screenshots that are actually bigger than the resolution of the screen and so on.
Great.
So it's a really fancy screenshot tool, and
Oh,
that's actually in there at the moment.
The only problem I see by free camera mode is, of course, that it could give multiplayers an unfair advantage. Everything can be exploited to some degree. But a few mode, like for example, you click on a unit and then you go on the third person following camera, something like that would be neat.
Well, not I don't see that for gameplay. I can see that for replays and stuff like that.
Okay, fair enough.
For gameplay, I would say that's probably not going to happen because of,
Yeah, agreed.
as you said, it's unfair and potentially, or you can cheat with it or whatever.
In a replay, that would be a good compromise. Okay. I just want to make sure that the game later offers a chance that you also can take something in from that nice art design from Yakub.
Yeah, no, this is the idea.
Okay.
And as I said, I don't know if we do our own system or if maybe we just keep this NVIDIA thing because it's really powerful, really nice. We have to see.
Thank you. That's all I had to ask. Thank you.
okay, Jan.
Welcome.
If I can still
Yeah.
you a little bit more of time or no?
Yeah, let's say the last question then.
Okay, heroes.
Towards midnight.
A little bit of hero talk. So you said that you want a Warcraft 3-esque system of level up regarding heroes. In Warcraft 3, they implemented a system, the entire system of creep, in order to allow for heroes and players to roam around the map and allow their own heroes to level up. What do you think will be the challenges in order to create this? And also, will this be for multiplayer games or just the campaign? They allow to heroes to level up.
As I said earlier, I think there will be leveling up in the campaign in multiplayer, but I think it will work a little bit different. differently. I think in campaign it's more like in Warcraft that you level up over multiple missions, and it's more like a slow progression of the character, and also a specialization of the character. So can be specialized in a certain direction, and you can choose if you want this character to be more like, for example, short range combat stuff or long range or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's just an example.
Yeah.
And for multiplayer, I think it's probably more like a short term thing that you basically level up your heroes during a mission. Maybe you won't reach level 10 in each game, or we probably don't reach it in every game. But it's more, I mean, I just said we don't want to make it too much like a MOBA, but this is
Yeah.
obviously a MOBA-esque system, which would help with the escalation, because then
Oh, I'm
heroes
sorry.
get
And
the
you are planning
ability to
to add
jump.
escalation as well? Or a system
Again?
such as escalation? Are you planning to add escalations as well? Or a system such as escalation?
Yeah, I think you probably need in some form or another, you need something like that, because you really don't want to multiplayer games to keep on forever, or to just on a low level of intensity, you know um, trickle along for an hour or two, but you want
Mm-hmm.
this, you want to force the player a little bit to look for the final combat, or to really make them decide this game.
I see.
And so there will be some sort of escalation, but as I said, it's not we're not there yet.
Yeah, no, it does. All of that will be uh, iterated upon with agile design and whatnot. So it is not. I'm not trying to hammer you to every single answer. Like it is understandable that the game will change. Like because I don't know if you have even set up networking yet in the game.
For multiplayer, no. We basically we worked on the basics, like the all the technology side, obviously, and now the controls and the UI and stuff like that. And now the big next thing on our list is multiplayer, which will be released in the Alpha 2 end of this year. So we have a couple of months ahead of us.
Okay, and the last question I think is: will there be progression for multiplayer games? This is something that I thought wasn't clear in your previous answer.
You mean something like
I'm not
release
entirely
or
sure.
letters and
No,
stuff?
yeah, like a meta thing, a meta game thing, not for a single game game
Yeah,
core loop, but for a
yeah,
progression for the players.
yeah, absolutely. There will be, but again, it's not decided what we're going to do. We want to add, midterm and long-term goals for multiplayer, and but as I said, it's unclear at this point
Yeah, it is very
what we're going to
tricky.
do and how we're going to do it. But it's definitely something we want to do, because we think it's hurting absolutely nobody, but many people
Ooh,
like
hard to
the idea
say.
to
Hard
have.
to, hard to say. You know the situation with many of the core hardcore multiplayer guys that really dislike like any kind of progression because they feel like it will give advantage to those that have been playing for a longer time than for those that are just getting into the game.
Yeah, but it depends on what kind of progression we're talking about. When it's like skins or cosmetics or stuff like that, it's
Exactly,
not.
exactly. That is
You
kind
know,
of what makes it tricky.
right? So yeah,
You also keep in mind that RTS games came a long way. Command and Conquer was very simple, based mostly on what you saw on the screen, and then later stuff got added, and over time they got more and more complex. So my first point as I joined was what's more the game? Do you try to have more a big scale or more a small scale? And for the art style and the whole game world, I think a small scale RTS approach would be probably more desirable. But again, that's just my opinion.
Yeah. Now this is basically what we're doing. The idea is that we won't add anything to the game as long as we're not sure that the game needs it or that it really helps, you know. So as I said earlier, we wouldn't add anything because of realism, for example. You know, if somebody said, yeah, let's add this feature because that's, you know, how it works in reality, that's not a good point, because you know, if it's not helping the game, it just makes it more complex and more cluttered.
Many
And
games wouldn't work if you would try to implement too much realism.
absolutely. And I think, you know, when you look at especially Company of Heroes 1 versus Company of Heroes 2, I feel that in Company of Heroes 2, there are a lot of systems and a lot of stuff in there that's not really
Fun.
contributing to the fun. You know,
Yeah.
it's more like, yeah, it's more complex and it's more stuff,
And it's
but
more
it's not really
realistic.
better. You know? Right. It's just more but not really better. And so we have always there's this saying like you know, perfection means not that you cannot add something, but it means that you can't take anything away. And this is more our approach, that we say, okay, let's start simple. Let's add stuff we need, because, you know, based on feedback or based on the game, but let's not add too many stuff we are not sure if it really
That's also what
helps.
Daisy said. There are so many RTS fans. And that's why I said from small to large scale, and you will never make them all happy. There will ever be
Absolutely.
a lot of people being pissed. But this game doesn't make for me the impression like adding macro management, like large scale stuff, would be a total killer for the game.
No, and like a word map or something like that. That's not
Yeah, no
something we're
macro
going to do.
management, just
No, that's not something we're going to add. But at the same time, you know, stuff like midterm and long-term goals for multiplayer is something we feel, okay, this would enhance, you know, the user experience if you do it right, and it's something that does not hurt anybody, even if you're not care for that stuff. You know, you still can play multiplayer, but there are I think a lot of people who just like to see the little numbers go up, you know, and so why not put that in there?
Jan,
Okay, guys. So
no, Jan,
I
one
gotta
second.
go.
No, one second, one second. Take you
Okay,
a little couple minutes
the last
extra.
one.
Is there,
Let's
yeah,
do it.
is there anything that you feel that should have been asked that wasn't asked? Anything that you are proud, for example, in the last week, something like that, that you have an advancement that you guys have done in the last week of the game, something
Well,
like
I
that.
think what wasn't in the last week, but I think the potentially coolest feature in the game is really the destruction system, and we haven't talked about that a lot. But I think,
Oh,
you know, the destruction is really nice compared to. Well, it's one of the things where you can really see that, you know, Company of Heroes, for example, is 10 years old. You know, in many aspects, you can't be that much better than them. But when it comes to, you know, stuff like really nice destruction and really nice animations and stuff like that, you can do better than them, and that's something I think Iron Harvest is doing a good job with.
oh yes, one last tiny wish, because I see so many games focusing on graphics over everything, which is nice, but I Kenny alone is not cutting it. I hope you guys also make a good job in the sound department,
Yeah,
because there
yeah, I
were
think
this one comment and it update about that one mech sounded very quickly, very old, and stuff
yeah,
can get very quickly repetitive. So
absolutely. But as I said, I mean, this is very early stuff. And in general, we have some of
I know.
our guys here are really sound guys, or really, you know, music and voiceover and sound are really is their thing. And one of our producers is actually one of the sound fanatics here, so I think that he'll take care of that.
Yeah, okay.
Really get everything that's
Like I
on.
said, that the stuff sounds like it has that weight behind it.
Yeah,
Because I
absolutely.
know some games where the guns sound pew 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 like a tin machine, tin toy, and the things should have, depending on how big they look on the screen, have also different weight behind it to make it sound more realistic. And also steam sounds and stuff like that. Here, the gear when the units move, stuff like that. That would be great.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And one
Jen.
of the things we have on our list that might be, a little USP for the game is we want to do more with the shouts. Units shouting, yeah, okay, doing that, going there, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Because we think that this is actually an opportunity that I think nobody used before, that you can um, really change that over time while you're playing the campaign.
Yeah,
That
it adds to the
the
immersion, adds spice to it.
right, and that the guys react differently to you over time. In the first missions, they don't know you that well, and they might not be sure if you're actually a good commander. And
That's a
they're
sweet
a
idea.
little more hesitated, and yeah, okay, I can do that. And then later on, they're really there for you, and they really know you, and they are on your side. And stuff like that is something that it's not hugely complicated and not super expensive, but it's something that back in the day nobody did because technology and stuff like that wasn't there probably, and now it's really easy to do a couple of hundred different takes and evolve the shouts over time.
It's a sweet idea.
But
Also
yeah,
reminds me of
Jan.
the old Warcraft 2 sounds
Right.
when clicked on units too much. What do you want? And he got pissed off at you.
Yeah, right. More work.
Yeah.
Need to work.
I'm not that kind of orc.
Right.
But yeah, Jan,
Okay.
we'll
so
let you
thank
go.
you guys.
You can escape now.
Yeah, no, it was a pleasure. So, yeah, as I said, maybe we do it again um, when the Alpha 1 is out or something. We have to see. Okay,
Well,
bye-bye.
bye-bye,
Okay,
Jan.
See you.
Have fun creating the game.
Oh.